Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the John C. Scott Talk Show on Monday edition, October 12th. Thanks for being with us. With us now, a longtime Tucson attorney, one of the most tenacious lawyers in America. Put that on a bumper sticker for him. Here's Bill Risner. Mr. Risner, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well. Thanks.
Yeah, sure, John. Thanks. Happy
Whatever.
Native American Day.
Is that what it is? Yeah, of course. I think that's what it is. October the 6th meeting, Pima County Board of Supervisors, you had an election integrity group questioning again by Cove, due in part to this controversy. I think this was about the Old Valley recall, but during the call to the audience, the residents demanded a hand count audit of the upcoming election. What's going on with our elections? You've always questioned, literally questioned, whether the accuracy even exists with counting our ballots, and the ability to manipulate the ballots is a real and clear and present danger. No, that's your position, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. There's no question about it. You know, we use computers to count ballots, and computers do what they're instructed to do. You know, a good example that's sort of interesting was the Volkswagen recall recently, where they had software that part of the program, which was of course, a company secret program, was that during the test mode they cheated, and so they passed the test. And for our elections, there's before the election, there's what they call a logic and accuracy test, where they can give it some ballots and see if it counts those ballots correctly. And of course, the machine can be instructed, just like Volkswagen did, to count correctly on a certain date, but not count correctly on other dates. And the ballots that need to be counted, there's something like 80% of them that are early ballots. And those ballots are not audited at all effectively. And so what the folks want the county to do is to audit those, which they can easily do and should do, and there's no logical reason that they wouldn't do it, except to preserve their right to cheat.
What's going on with the Election Integrity Commission, the overseers of our elections? There's talk that there's people trying to do away with it, and one of those people might be the Chief Administrator of Pima County, Chuck Huckelberry. Why do away with that?
Well, he created it as a fig leaf to show, for people that don't watch closely, that he's, wants advice on how to run fair elections. And they keep giving him advice, and he rejects the advice. And so since he rejects the advice repeatedly, I think he has probably concluded that if he got rid of them, then it wouldn't be this public event of showing that he's rejecting sound advice.
What about a hand count of the elections? Is that possible?
Sure, of course. You know, look, I've been involved with election cases in Tucson for probably 45 years. So I have a certain history background. What used to be done is the political parties would pick two precincts at random, and they would hand count the entire precincts to confirm the accuracy of the count. Decade after decade, that's what happened in Pima County. Huckleberry is pretending, and with his willing nod from his legal advisors in the county attorney's office that works with them, that there's something to prohibit that. But there's nothing to prohibit that. The Board of Supervisors run elections, and it's their duty and their job to accurately count the votes and to conduct fair elections. So obviously, as the ones who are assigned to accurately conduct the election, they can count and they can check and confirm and audit to make sure it's an honest count. And they simply pretend that they can't do that. And, it's up to, the inference is clear. I mean, there's no question in my mind that that all they're fighting on this stuff is to preserve their right to cheat.
Well, there's two things that come to mind. Obviously, transparency and oversight. Address both of those in the way we count our ballots in Pima County. And we've done that a little bit in this conversation. It's been fairly brief, but expand on that, on the transparency and the oversight as it exists in Pima County.
Well, they have what Pima County now has. They have some ES&S equipment that takes that digitally scans the ballots, and so they have the ability now, which is what I think the commission wants them to do, is to take this something like 80%, this huge number of early ballots, and to simply tell the machine to organize those by precinct, so that the ballots that are cast at the precincts that are assigned to a certain precinct, and the early ballots from people in that same precinct, if all those are combined for purposes of a hand count, then you can confirm the total count, because the early ballots are in the final canvas combined with the ballots that were issued, that were cast at the precinct. But what we need is a number that is in the final canvas that we can compare with a verified hand count of all the ballots cast in that election, and that can easily be done. And it's just amazing to think that something like 80% of the ballots don't have an effective audit. There's what they call an audit batch when the ballots are being counted. They will run a batch of like 200, 300 ballots, and then set those aside, and then after the election they can count that ballot to see if the machine did it correctly. But when I had mentioned earlier the Volkswagen thing, this is a perfect example, because the machine can be programmed to count correctly during those audit batches, because they have to stop the count, run a total, count certain ballots, run another total. So you simply tell the machine anytime they stop the count, and the next group count them correctly, and afterwards don't. And what you have to look at is Arizona. You can't get a recount unless it's within 1/10%, and even then, let's say in the that actually happened in the Martha McSally race in the House last time, and the election commission in Pima County asked Huckleberry to follow clear state law that said you have to use a different computer program. He refused to do that. They counted him on the same program and got the same result. So it is really a phenomenon that we would take something as important as balloting and a ballot count. When we live in a country where everything depends on majority decision as to what government policies are, and yet not audit, have a black box with a secret program that a company says is proprietary. Nobody in Pima County looks at it. The Secretary of State doesn't look at that program. They don't know what's in it. It can easily be changed, and it is simple for the county to actually audit to see that it's correct. And they won't. So why wouldn't they? Something that is that important and that simple.
Let me ask you, you still question the outcome of the RTA balloting in 2006. How was all that exercise you went through for months and months and years, actually, relevant to today's election, or the election of early November 2015? Is it relevant?
You bet it is. What happened in that race was that the courts would not permit the Democratic Party or the Libertarian Party to put on proof and to prove that the election was fraudulent. The last word was astonishing by a judge of our Superior Court who said that he assumed, as he had to, that the election was rigged. So that's the assumption, was that we could prove it. And I put on massive amounts of evidence I was prepared to put on. He said he assumed it was rigged, but the most the courts could do was to tell Pima County just to follow the law, just don't do it again. And Pima County put in writing to our courts. They referred to that election as a historical incident of wrongdoing. They virtually admitted in writing that they cheated, but then they argued that look at all these elections since, and we haven't been accused of cheating since.
Well, there you go. That's a pretty good argument, isn't it? I mean, it's like me robbing a Circle K. If I don't do it again, it's all right, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, sure. No, it's true. They only do it when they need to, but they certainly are preserving the ability to do it when somebody there who has the ability thinks, yeah, it's in the public interest. Heck with these people, they're not voting right. If they only knew, they would agree with me on everything.
Well, Audit Arizona, you're the representative of that group, and your statement is, and I'm quoting from a release, every study of the security of the computer voting system has identified insiders, such as the company employees or the vendors and the election department employees, as the primary security risk. These same vendors, when having their software certified, instructed the test labs not to check the software for security. Expand on that.
Yeah, sure. For years we used the Debo equipment. Now it's owned by ES&S, same one that has the equipment now. But they the way it works is they hire companies, and in that case, I think it was Cyber that they hired to check their software and certify it. For accuracy as software that would do its job. And they have a contract with this company that they pay, and they told them, check this, check that, but don't look at security. So Cyber says, yeah, we didn't look at security. And then they lied to Cyber in addition. They said, oh, check this other stuff is what we call off-the-shelf software that we haven't changed. It doesn't have stuff in it that you're not allowed. So you don't need to check that either. And they lied. It wasn't off the off the shelf. It had been changed. And then later, the federal government told the company that checked that they weren't permitted to certify any other documents until they approved their procedure. And they said, gee, you shouldn't do that to us because the Debo lied to us. It's not, John, there is a problem, and a problem that I've had when I've talked to groups of people about balloting. When you actually look at the software, how it can be rigged, what's done, what the checks were, so forth. Then people say, "Oh my God, why should I vote? Why should I do anything?" I mean, it's rotten top to bottom.
Well, it is a fight I'm sure you're never going to give up on, and I appreciate you being on the show, and we're never going to give up on talking with you about it. I appreciate you being on the show. We'll follow this 2015 election, and then we'll talk about it if we don't talk about it before then. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for your continued fight, and always good to talk with you, Bill. Attorney Bill Risner.